Hi everyone, nice to meet you. Thanks for joining, even if it's the lunch break. I try and make it interesting for you guys, and then you can go on and try out all the fabulous food that there is in this trade show. So my name is Anouk Teye. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Arfanglab. Because some of you might not have heard about us, I'll share just a quick overview of what we do and who we are. We are an endpoint security specialist. We develop endpoint security solution. At the core of those, there is an EDR, and we are a European company nowadays. We were founded in France and now are present in Belgium, the Netherlands, and the DAR region. We have over 400 customers that we address through something like 40 MSSP partners. We provide the technology and for the MSSP partners to be able to address the customers and provide value and security to them. We currently supervise something around 1 million endpoints. We have huge accounts, some like 100K endpoints and very tiny ones. And it's going to be a topic of discussion during my talk today. We also are quite proud, so we put it everywhere, that we were the first EDR to be certified by the French National Cybersecurity Agency, certified for the robustness of the EDR itself and its security. And this is also recognized by the German National Cybersecurity Agency. So today, I've decided not to talk too much about our product. I know you guys have all, like many conferences around products, use cases, and everything. So I tried to mix it up a little and to talk rather about some key issues that we think at Arfanglab we are facing as a cybersecurity community within Europe and abroad. And it's the reason why we are building this EDR and the endpoint security solutions that we are developing. So wanted to share that today with you. These reasons are the fact that we think that without thinking about strategic autonomy in our cybersecurity practice, we won't be able to reach cyber resilience as a continent in Europe. I've thrown in some of the big words, like very abstract right now, but the idea is to dive into it and make it very concrete once we go forward. The first thing I want to say is, why do we think that this strategic autonomy is essential for cyber resilience? It could be seen as two different topics. One thing that's really about economic position, sovereignty even, and on the other side, just facing cyber threats that are ongoing and targeting many entities all across the EU. The reason why we think it's really important is that cybersecurity is not an indoor sport. We're not like running on a nice treadmill within a confined environment, like very clean, and doing always the same movements and the same thing with the same colleagues around. Cybersecurity, we think, is way more of an outdoor activity and more like mountain climbing. The conditions, they change constantly. The prediction we make are often quite inaccurate. It's like when you look at the weather before going on a hike and then it starts to rain everywhere and storming and you are not prepared for that. For us, the practice of cybersecurity is way more like this, and being able to think about strategic autonomy while implementing cybersecurity tool is being able to prepare for unforeseen circumstances, changes in the conditions, and this is something that, and I'll come back to that later on, should really inform even how we develop the technology that we are developing and deploying to customers and making available to partners. I think maybe to make it a bit more concrete, I see that this year is actually, I think, a perfect storm of all these changing conditions that we have. We have more than half of the world population voting. This is a particularly important time in terms of cybersecurity, but it has also huge impacts on cybersecurity policies and digital policies as a whole. We have huge global events, especially in Europe, so the Paris Olympic Games, but also the Football World Cup in Germany. Again, these are like very fertile grounds for many kind of cyber activities, from strategic activities to more like random criminal lucrative activities that could have, I said that the predictions are often inaccurate, but so could have an important impact this year. And the last one is that there is a rise of tension everywhere. It's been creeping up very slowly, but now it's like very much present in the world affairs, I would say. And what's particularly concerning to us as a cybersecurity professional is that those international tensions, they are among cyber powers. So major players, like major offensive players. So this is something that changes the condition in which we evolve and that we need to take into account. If we look a bit more closely about two specific elections that could be a turning point in terms of cybersecurity policies, this year we have the EU parliamentary election, so they'll be next weekend actually, and we have the US presidential election in November. Both these players have a huge impact in shaping the rules of cyberspace, the rules in which we all deploy and provide technology. I think, like, just to again make probably an inaccurate prediction, but if Trump is elected anew, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, now reformed Intelligence Surveillance Act, will probably change again, focusing way more on foreign data collection by the US and way less on internal security reasons for this data collection. The Cloud Act will also evolve if he's elected, he said so. The relationship that we have, that the US has, and that they are often pushing us to have as allies regarding Chinese technology, coming back to TikTok and 5G, will also be a change in circumstances. So definitely it will have an impact on the cyber world in which we evolved. On the other hand, the EU is the same. So the EU has been a huge driver of, we think, is a very positive cybersecurity transformation through very ambitious regulation, the NIS directive, the Digital Market Act. And if the EU slows down, or if the regulation is not like properly applied, if there are changes of circumstances within this policy sphere, it will have an impact on us as cybersecurity provider and on all European entities and European companies that are aiming at protecting themselves against all kinds of cyber threats. So this seems a bit further and a long way from a simple, I would say, EDR. But we think that there is a possibility to have a technological implementation of this principle of resilience to make sure that people are able to choose the way they want to build their cybersecurity strategy, and that this is our responsibility as a cybersecurity solution provider to give them tools where they can make those informed choices. So this is now the part where you're going to see that highlight. I actually will talk about our product, and I'll share what we think are the three key ingredients in implementing concretely strategic autonomy in a technological product. The first one is performance. There is often this talk that where should we rank performance against sovereignty? It's often the words that's used. Should we be first sovereign and then performant or sovereign? It's often like a discussion ongoing, and we are convinced that it should not be a choice. You cannot have strategic autonomy if you are not performant in terms of cybersecurity. It's not true that there is a choice to be made between the two characteristics. They are deeply intertwined, and so an EDR should detect cyber attacks. That's its role, and propose response to analysts. So that's its role, and the strategic autonomy should not go against that specific role. So this is why we should really invest, and this is something that we do at Arfang Lab, in cyber threat intelligence, always keeping up with the global trends I mentioned before, keeping up with the new attacks, even EDR evasion that are more and more used by attackers, and that we should always be on the forefront of the attack, and this is a condition for us to provide strategic autonomy to partners and customers. The other thing that's important in terms of performance is that I could stand here and say, okay, we prioritized performance because it is a condition of strategic autonomy, but you don't have to believe me. So you could. This is something that we really should constantly test us and against other players for specific customers. So there are a number of international recognized tests that are going on. They provide a view at a specific moment in a specific circumstances of what are the capabilities, what is the performance. But it is important that as EU players, we go and face those challenges and try and match up against non-EU players. So this is something that we did at Arfang Lab last year for the first time. We participated in the well-known MITRE ingenuity tests, and we were quite proud about the results that we got, the fact that we were able to level with other leader market players. And this is something that we continue to do and continue to invest in to ensure to customers and partners that they are not choosing only an EU flag, but they are choosing a performing EDR. And I won't go too much into detail into it, but it's the same with AI. AI is something that's getting a lot of hype right now, with multiple use cases within the field of cybersecurity. We should take all the potentials that AI brings, both in terms of detection that we can deploy within the endpoint, and for instance, is something that we do for scripts or binary analysis, at the closest of the source within the endpoint, but also as an help for the analyst. It's something that is really important in a field where professionals are missing, and any help they can get from other tools is really needed. So first ingredient, performance. The second ingredient is trust. And when we say trust, is trust about your data, whether they are personal or strategic or commercial, any type of data. Today, it's something that's extremely valuable. The world runs on data. Everyone is trying to get data on other activities, and being able to store data in a place where that's trustworthy to you is something that's incredibly important. It's especially important for an endpoint security provider, because at the level of the endpoint you can see like a lot of data that's encrypted, because we need to interact with it. You can see it's an access point to other resources, and it's the reason why it's often so much targeted by cyber attackers. So when you develop an endpoint security solution, you know that by design your product is going to be particularly intrusive and will collect a particularly huge amount of data pertaining to the entity's life, from the personal activities of some employees to the strategic decision of the executive committee. So saying to an entity that in order to ensure their cybersecurity, they need to choose, and they will not be able to ensure their cybersecurity within their trusted space, is not something that's possible for us. We need to adapt to the trusted space of the customers. The trusted space, it's any place they are comfortable putting their data. So it can be their own infrastructure on premises. It can be our cloud as a solution provider, or it can be any other cloud of their choosing. We are not here to say you should not take this cloud, take this one instead. We really are here to say our solution will work and should work. You should expect it to work in any environment you choose, in any environment you trust. And it should work without sacrifices on the performance that I mentioned earlier. It should not be a choice. I want an EDR that detects well. I want an EDR that has AI in it. But I cannot have it if I don't change the place where the data that I'm that I'm generating, is stored. So this is really something that's key. It's a huge investment. It's technologically challenging to be able to deploy a security solution in any chosen environment, but it's something that's key and essential to ensure strategic autonomy, as I mentioned earlier. The last ingredient is transparency. The reason why a security solution detects the possibility to adapt the way the detection is made is something that's essential to ensure the strategic autonomy of an entity. They need to understand why something has been detected. What is the threat behind? They cannot rely only on the cybersecurity provider to say, trust us, it's bad. They need to understand. And this is why white box approaches, where you can see the rules, you can see all the data that has generated the alerts, are really something that's key for strategic autonomy. You need to have this vision, you need to understand all of this to be completely free of third-party judgment on what is dangerous to you or not. The transparency also works like in another way. We mentioned like an EDR is only one part of the whole cybersecurity stack. The cybersecurity stack can change a lot quite quickly for any different reasons. The provider is going on the way, it's been rebought, the prices do not fit your model anymore, you don't like the technology, the open source licenses have changed. There are many reasons for it to change. So the capability to be able to easily plug it to other solution is really essential and is a condition of resilience, because you can move and adapt to the changing circumstances that are always there in cybersecurity. If I go back to the title of this session and like stop my lie about not talking about our product, why is it important for Europe and for the European Union to invest in that topic, to be more resilient as a continent? And is it something that should only be aimed or only attainable for big entities, big governments, I would say? The crucial topic that has been often overlooked in the past is the role of SMBs within the cybersecurity sphere. Today, 99% of EU companies are SMBs. It's like 23 million companies that are SMBs or one-person companies. It's a huge amount. Saying that we will do cybersecurity to be resilient without taking into account those particular actors is not possible. So having an elitist view of cybersecurity only aimed at big players is definitely not possible if we want to achieve the resilience collectively. It's another point is that those entities, they are particularly targeted by cyber threat actors because they are numerous, because they are like less protected, and especially for cyber criminals and ransomware groups, it's easy targets. So we did a study on France, Belgium, and Germany and the Netherlands that we published for this trade show, and 330,000 SMBs were targeted by ransomware attacks in just those 4 countries in 2022. So it showcased the huge impact that it has on the economic and the social patchwork that is a country that is the European Union. So I would say that the principle that we mentioned about strategic autonomy earlier, they should be available for those actors, and this should not be a complex mesh of cybersecurity solution that they have to implement, that they don't need to, that they don't know how to choose from, but rather a dedicated offer that fits their level of maturity, that fits their financial means. And this is one of the reasons MSSP partners really bring this value to the smaller entities. And a lot of them are working right now, and we are working with them to tailor this complex sector and this complex solution that build cybersecurity for the specific needs of these companies. So before, as I mentioned, we kind of overlooked these actors, but the regulators, they did not. And especially the NIS2 directive that I think has come into place in Belgium just a couple of weeks or months ago, but will be fully applicable all across the EU by the end of the fall, is definitely especially targeting those actors, because the EU regulators, they recognized the huge impact that those companies have on the resilience of the economy and the society in the European Union. So I'm not sure you can see that much, but one thing that's really essential with this NIS2 directive is that we have 19 new sectors that are now in which cybersecurity rules are applied to companies and entities that are involving in those sectors. Those sectors, they are extremely dense in terms of SMBs. You have a lot of manufacturing sectors, you have a lot of chemistry, food product. Those are sectors where SMBs play a vital role in the supply chain. It's something that we encounter a lot when at Arfang Lab when we work with defense or aerospace actors. For instance, one customer that's evolving in this sector, just for one product, he has 3,600 subcontractors, SMBs, on which he relies to be able to provide this one product. If one of them is failing because of a cyber attack or ransomware that would stop his production, he's unable to produce this product after only 2 weeks. So it becomes critical to see this whole network of companies, and this is something that the regulators have seen and put into words within this new directive, but it's now something that, as the cybersecurity community, solution providers, service providers, we need to work on so that we match the needs of those companies that are different from the companies that we used to work with before. And to finish this talk, I mentioned earlier that we did a study on SMBs, and we asked them, not the 23 million, but several hundred of them, what they expected of a cybersecurity solution, how they wanted to address the cybersecurity challenges that they are facing. And something that came up quite a lot, except for the fact that cybersecurity is an issue that they encounter. It was all across the countries that we polled. But something that came almost every time is that the IT and cybersecurity decision maker from those countries, they are convinced that the proximity of European solution, the proximity of EU data protection regulation are key advantages and should be taken into account when they are building their cybersecurity strategy. So if we ask them what these companies they want to have, they are really keen on any, and you can see the numbers here, it's really overwhelming, a choice for the proximity that a EU solution provider or EU cybersecurity service provider can bring. So yeah, now it's up to us, and this is something that we are trying to do to be able to meet these needs. And we would be really happy to share a bit more how we can do that for all these companies together with partners. And you can see us at our stand here. And tell people that I'm going to do exactly the same talk tomorrow at the same time if you enjoyed it. And I'm available for any questions that you might have.